Hi, and welcome to yet another edition of Ask Miss Judes. As always, I hope you're keeping well, taking good care of yourself, and enjoying life as God gives it. I also want to use the opportunity to thank you, also members of our family, our community, for your interaction in the comments, for your messages, and how you're sharing the videos. Keep doing that. It helps to grow our community. Today, I wanted to just share with us briefly on what I've chosen to caption resilience as life's currency. Now, we know that resilience really is an indication of our ability to spring back from a challenge or a setback. It could be emotional, it could be mental, it could be physical, it could be financial, anything. Getting over a crisis and finding oneself in a pre-crisis situation is what we're going to consider today as resilience. I've chosen to caption it as life's currency because whether we like it or not, life doesn't always deal us the cards that we want. It deals us the cards that it decides. And if we want to be able to sail through life, maintaining our sanity, our joy, our peace, then we know that we cannot go through life without developing resiliency as a quality that will serve as our currency. So if we reflect, every one of us would have had opportunities where we went through life. I like to say opportunities because I think challenges can bring the better out of us. Where we've gone through life and things that happened that felt like this would be it. So for me, I've talked before about my health challenges, where I went through years and years and years, where I actually got to a point where I sadly began to believe that I would never get well. But to the glory of God, God gave me grace, and some of the strategies that I adapted in that season, as I look back now, I realize are some of the qualities that contribute to resilience. In our younger days, we felt that we were given more challenges, far more challenges, and fewer assistance or limited assistance from our parents, that we somehow had no option but to be resilient. However, in today's environment, there seems to be many things tugging away at our ability to be resilient. And that's why I want to consider it as life's currency. Because if we do not build resilience, then we're going to struggle through life. Every little setback will get the better of us. So like I said, in my health challenge, I got to a point where I had to decide, what am I going to do with this thing? So one strategy of overcoming resilience is to be intentional about what it is that we are going through. Cultivate a positive mindset about that thing, irrespective of how difficult or how challenging it is. It could be worse, I can guarantee you. Whatever I was going through at the time, I saw people who were experiencing worse health challenges than me. And I could then use that to encourage myself that if this person is coping, I can cope. And over time, God used that to build my faith and my spirit. And by the grace of God, I'm in a much better place today. Another strategy that helps with coping is developing what I call a healthy relationship, or developing healthy relationships. For me, I will always say that my first relationship is cultivating that relationship with God, the one who keeps me centered, the one who reminds me of who I am in Him, the one who sacrificed to rescue me that I can be who I am today. Such that every time I go through difficulties, I look back and I say, God has my back, and therefore I will rise out of this. My family is my next line of call. So if you have healthy relationships in your family, they will help you to develop resilience, because when you go through challenges, there are people you can fall back on who will help to pick you up. And somehow just reassuring you of that love and support is one of the strands towards building resilience. Another thing is practicing self-care. That is something that I always confess I do not know how to do. I'm getting better by the day. But if you take time to look after yourself, a well-rested person is better able to bounce back from a challenge than one who is not rested or is just going from one challenge to the other. Also, if we take time to reflect on the experiences we are having and are able to put it in context, it helps our minds to develop coping strategies. So I will look at the long end of things. What is the end goal for me? What do I want to achieve? So at the time I was ill, I was like, okay, it would be wonderful to envision myself as well and healthy. At a point I started imagining, I want to be here when my children get married. I want to be an amazing grandmother. By the grace of God, I'm already a grandmother. So some of those visioning and positive channeling of our energies and our pain help to build resilience. When we've reflected on these experiences, I think one of the challenges that I often find, and I don't want to come across like I'm judging young people, one of the things that I find we don't seem to do enough in today's generation is to actually reflect on our experiences. So people will say experience is the best teacher. I'm like, no, reflecting on your experience is how we learn. If not, people will not be repeating the same mistakes all the time. If it's just experience that teaches. It's the reflection on the experience that teaches. And when we've reflected on this experience, we will see where we've gone wrong. We will see where we've overstretched. We will see where we could have done better. And the advantage of this reflection is that we then put in place things to make life better. So I've given the example of my health. I want to give an example of a socio-economic example. So when we migrated to Canada a little over 12, 13 years ago, it was like leaving everything we knew in Jamaica to come to a new country. And we landed, and the very day after, there was a huge rainstorm that was frightening. And then that winter was the worst. And then we went through challenges, finding jobs, sensible jobs, and adapting to this new country. Now, if we didn't have the ability to look at the long-range plan, if we did not have the ability to appreciate what it was that God was taking us through, if we didn't have that relationship with God and with our family, it would have been very challenging. I've met people who came and then after 2-3 years couldn't bother and went back to their home countries. So some of that is God orchestrated. A lot of that is the inability to develop resilience. So I present to you today that resilience is a currency that helps us get through life in a more productive, helpful, and meaningful way. So whatever it is, the challenge that you're going through today, be it mental, spiritual, physical, emotional, financial, whatever it is, I want to encourage you to situate yourself in a place where you can think through what it is that you're going through and how you can make the most of it. Again, gratitude is one thing that helps us to build resilience, because irrespective of the challenges, there is always light at the end of the tunnel. I pray today that you will find that light and that you will share it with others in your sphere of influence. As always, I want to encourage you to like, share, and subscribe. Keep those comments coming and the questions coming. And if you do not want to comment in the forum itself, you want to send an email, please do so to askmissjudz@gmail.com. That's askmzjudz@gmail.com. Thanks again for hanging out with me. Like, share, subscribe, and keep those questions coming in. I look forward to coming your way again real soon. Take care. Bye.